The story begins at school. There, one of the students forces himself on another student, which she strongly dislikes. They pass near a football field, where a ball is bounced off the goal and flies straight towards them. At this moment, time seemed to stop for the guy. His name is Sajo Wataru, and the girl he is forcing himself on is Aika Natsukawa. The ball flies very close, and at that moment he has an epiphany. The whole world seemed to have completely changed during this time, including Sajo's thinking. The ball fell, but the guy doesn't understand what just happened and looks confused. The next day, Sajo walks into class and is greeted by his school friend. Her name was Kei Ashida, and sitting next to her was Aika Natsukawa. She starts scolding the guy for stalking her friend. The girl tries to calm her down, but Sajo agrees. Not only the two friends, but the entire school was shocked by this strange behavior. After some time, Sajo goes outside to eat. Suddenly, Aizawa Rina sits down next to him and scares him with his abrupt appearance. They had a dialogue, from which the guy learned that she was a student from another class. He was confused because he had no idea what she might need. But she left as unexpectedly as she came. The next day, Sajo is met in class by a friend who says that someone is waiting for him. It was the same girl who came to him on the street during lunch break. Soon, Kei and Aika also enter the classroom, but soon they quickly leave. Aizawa Rina felt awkward, and she assumes that she embarrassed the girls with her appearance. During gym class, the friends run into Sajo again, which makes all three of them uncomfortable. Because of this, the guy thought and made a mistake in the game, which is why other teams scored a goal. After the lesson on the street, Sajo runs into Kei again, and she wants to tell him something. She assumed that he began to look at other girls, and because of this he no longer pursues Aika. The girl also tells more about Aizawa Rina and her boyfriend. After some time in class, Kei asks the guy if everything is okay because he looked very thoughtful. They almost start fighting, but Aika tells them both to stop. Suddenly, Aizawa Rina appears in the classroom, but realizes that it's a little out of time. She apologizes for this and approaches the company. The girl wanted to talk to Sajo, but Kei suggests that all four of them talk. She asks Rina about the reasons for her breakup with her boyfriend. Although Rina talks about possible reasons, Kei does not calm down and begins to speak negatively about her ex. Aika tries to calm her friend down, but Rina is upset by such words about her ex and she leaves. Sajo follows her. Sajo searches for Rina further and still finds her in the same place where they met. He began to apologize to her for his friend's words, to which she said that it was not his fault. Then they start a dialogue about Aika Natsukawa. The guy tells her that due to numerous refusals, he stopped pursuing the heart of his beloved. In turn, Rina tells why she actually broke up with her boyfriend. Sajo also talks about the past rejection of some girl back in middle school and how after that the girl's boyfriend wanted to beat him. When he was hit, he flew straight into Aika, who then slapped him, and after that he fell in love with her. But suddenly the guy said that he had made it all up, and that he really fell in love with her when she extended a helping hand to him. He said that he would never forget her image that day. Rina listened carefully to Sajo and felt better, after which she thanked him for it and left. The next day in class, Aika and Kei ask Sajo about his attitude towards Rina, to which he describes her very positively. Kei continues to ask the guy about the strangeness of his behavior, which everyone observed in him, but the guy just denied it. That evening, the girl comes to Sajo's house to talk about why he is behaving strangely. The guy decides to ask her to date him again, and after another refusal, he gives up. At this moment, his sister, Kid Sajo, enters the room, which confuses both classmates. After this, Sajo sees Aika off and invites her to remain just friends. In response to this, the girl gets offended and runs away. The next day, Kei accuses Sajo that no one wants to talk to Aika because of his advances and that she is only friends with them. The guy thinks about it and comes to the conclusion that he wants her to have more friends and decides not to contact her at all. Soon the girl's friend, whom the main character encountered some time ago, appeared before him. The one he encountered was named Rin Shinomiya, and the girl who came to him, Yu Inatomi. He began to apologize to her for what happened, but she began to calm him down. Her reassurance made him feel a little better and he got ready to go. But then the girl stops him. It turned out that Sajo knows her, and that she is the head of the student council at the school. Afterwards, the girl invites the guy to a serious conversation. In the student council office, she tells him about her worries about the members of the disciplinary council. Sajo listened to her carefully and advised her simply not to lose heart. She accepts all his advice, thanks him, and apologizes for delaying him so much. Rin also asked his name. Sajo introduced himself to her as Yamezaki and then said goodbye. The next day he leaves the house with his sister and a bunch of packages. On the way they notice Aika. The sister takes the packages from Sajo and tells him to talk to her. At first they walk in awkward silence, but then Aika seems to want to say something, but changes her mind at the last moment. Arriving at school, it turned out that Kei was looking for a guy. She wanted to convey that the head of the disciplinary council was furious and was looking for him. Rin Shinomiya found out that he did not introduce himself to her by his real name, and together with Yu, she tells him to come to the student council office. After the two leave, Sajo is attacked by the real Yumezaki for daring to pretend to be him. But it turns out that Yumezaki likes Rin Shinomiya. After some time, he appears in the student council office. He explains to her that he lied about his name because he didn't want to create unnecessary problems for himself if the head of the student council remembered his name. And he explains that Yumezaki is not against it because he really likes her. Yu then began to apologize to Sajo and thank him for the kindness he showed her when they encountered each other. The guy listened to all this, accepted gratitude from the girls, and said goodbye. Arriving at class, he notices that many classmates are crowded around Aika, which he is very happy about. He realized that as long as he doesn't bother her, the girl has the opportunity to communicate and meet other people. Having received a message on his phone from his sister to go to the student council office, he goes there. His sister turns out to be the deputy head of the student council and asks him to help with her work. As a special reward for the same help tomorrow, he agrees to come again. The next day in class, Aika's new friends offer to go visit her in about a week, to which the girl agrees. Later, Rin calls Sajo to the student council office and thanks him for his advice. She reveals that the new problem was Yuyu's feelings about the situation. Yuyu really wants to overcome her fear of talking to guys, but doesn't know how to do it. Sajo says he's disappointed that the apology for their encounter was just an excuse to stop being afraid of the guys and interacting with them. After a long and honest statement about this, the guy leaves. It's very hot outside. Finally getting to class, Kei greets Sajo. The guy noticed that all the girls were already wearing summer uniforms, including Aika. He noticed that it suits her very well. The friends talk for a while before the lesson starts. After the lesson, Kei expresses to Sajo his worries about the fact that he has not said a word to his lover all day. He says that he will not pester her so as not to spoil her relationships with others. Later, the guy is about to have a quiet lunch in class, but Takuro Yamazaki approaches him and invites Sajo to have lunch with his group. During the conversation, everyone asks Sajo about his relationship with Aika. Everyone also noticed that they had not fought for a long time. This seems very strange to them. Everyone is actively discussing their relationship and the character of the guy himself. One of the girls even suggested that Sajo was dating Aizawa Rina, and then the evil Aika suddenly dragged Sajo to talk. The guy begins to remember everything that could make his classmate angry with him. Aika is angry that Sajo was talking to that company. She tries to say something else but ends up running away crying. The guy didn't understand why Aika could be so angry and discussed it with Kei, but their conversation is interrupted by a member of the student council who calls the main character to talk. First he asks about Sajo himself and about his relationship with Aika, but this guy says that Sajo's older sister is very worried about the changes in her brother. He simply did not consider it necessary to tell her about his relationship with Aika, but it turned out that Kid was very worried about it. A member of the student council says that Sajo's sister thinks that the changes in her brother's behavior happened because of her. The guy sends Sajo to talk frankly with Kid. She is surprised by the guy's appearance because she wasn't expecting to see him here. The girl tries to deny everything the guy says, but soon she began to say that she had encountered a similar problem once and did not want it to happen again. Between the frank dialogue, Aika bursts in on them. She overheard Sajo saying some bad things about his sister and forces the guy to apologize. The guy asks her what she's doing here anyway, and Aika realized that she was following him with Kei as if pursuing him, just as he had once done her. After this awkward scene, the girl runs away embarrassedly. The guy pondered Aika's strange behavior on the way home. Arriving home, the guy began to apologize to his sister for his behavior and they started fooling around. Aika and Kei have a candid conversation in a cafe about Aika's feelings for Sajo. She says that she feels strange about his attitude towards her and cannot decide what to do about it. Kei encourages her friend and she thanks her for it. At home, Kid notices the deplorable state of his brother's hair and tells him to take care of it. She also notices that he used to take care of his hair. On the way to school, the guy thought about his past troubles with Aika. Sajo enters the classroom and greets Aika and Kei. Later, the guy goes outside to have lunch, where he meets Rin Shinomiya, Yu and Atomi and an unknown girl. They invite him to eat with them, to which he does not immediately, but agrees. Over a nice lunch conversation, he is introduced to this unknown girl. Her name was Ayano Mida, a childhood friend of both girls. Rin and Yu speak very positively about her, but Ayano herself does not behave so well with Sajo. When the head of the student council is alone with the guy, he asks his opinion about the changes at Yu. He treats them positively, and the girl thanks him for helping her become that way. According to her, he became the impetus for Yu to understand that not all guys are bad, and that she can communicate normally with them. They open up a little about this topic. After this, the guy goes to class and approaches his friend, Takaki Sasaki. He takes Sajo aside to talk. Takaki Sasaki says that he also likes Aika Natsukawa. The guy doesn't react to this in any way, and again says that he considers the decision to stop pestering Aika to be correct. Later, he watched Aika and the others having fun together and going home. The guy was also going home, but then the girl approached him. She asks to go with her to class to get her forgotten things. In class, a girl asks Sajo why he usually eats lunch by himself. Aika invites him to have dinner with her and her friends, but the guy refuses the offer. Afterwards, they leave the class in awkward silence. During the dialogue, the girl advises Sajo to tint his hair. He asks her advice on paint colors and decides to go with the one his lover likes best. Later, Sajo heads to the store to buy her own hair dye and dyes it at home with her sister. The next day, the school posted all the students' exam results, and Sajo assumes that without Aika's motivation, his exam scores have gotten much worse. All the students at school discuss their grades for a long time. Looking at the posted grades, the guy notices that his beloved was only surpassed by some exchange student. The group of girls and Sasaki, led by Aika, discuss Sajo's strange behavior again. Walking along the corridor, the guy meets 3 unknown girls who were talking about Aika. Sajo scared them and they ran away. The next day, Sajo and Aika clash with their umbrellas on their way to school. It was raining heavily outside, and suddenly, a car passes very close to the girl. Sajo runs up to her and covers her with an umbrella to prevent the car from splashing water on her and getting himself wet instead. Already in class, Aika gives the guy her handkerchief in gratitude, and after a short dialogue he passes out. Waking up a little later during class, Sajo tries to go to the medical room, but due to the fact that he is very weak, he passes out again before even reaching the classroom doors. The girls come to the medical office to see how their friend is doing. It is clear that Aika is very worried about him and does not find a place for himself, but soon they are sent back to class. After some time, the guy wakes up and asks about his condition. The doctor tells him everything and tells him to sleep a little more. Aika worries all day about Sajo's condition. Next, Rin comes to the class and invites everyone to visit the guy together, including his sister. But Aika and Kei later check on him themselves. During a short dialogue, the guy says that he doesn't want to infect Aika, so he tells them to leave. Later they meet Rin and Keed, who ask about the sick man's condition, and they all visit him again. All 4 of them take care of him in the medical room. The next day, Sajo's classmates visit him at home, but they leave very soon, which confuses the patient. The next day, Aika runs into Marika's Shinonome Claudine, her friends, and Sajo, who was standing nearby. These were the same girls he had scared a while ago. Marika's Shinonome Claudine asks Aika to support her in the election for the head of the student council, but Sajo dissuades the girl from this idea and Marika gets angry. After this awkward situation, Aika runs away in embarrassment. Rin, Yuyu and Ayano invite Sajo to have lunch together outside. Yuyu asks the guy how he is feeling, and he replies that he is almost healthy. But the girls invited him with them for a reason, but to offer him to join the student council. But he is afraid of such responsibility and refuses, which Rin and Ayano did not really like. They teach him a lesson, and after that the guy walks down the corridor and meets Aika. She notices that he is a little shabby and straightens his hair. Both are very embarrassed and the guy asks if there is anything he can do for her in return. The girl awkwardly refuses and runs away. Next, the class elects students who will help organize school events. In the end, Takaki Sasaki and Aika were chosen, which Sajo is not very happy about, and this ends the school semester. During the summer holidays, a guy works part-time in a bookstore and somehow notices that 3 hooligans are offending a little boy. He intervenes, they leave, and he helps the victim get up. As it turns out, his name is Sasaki Koda. Sajo wipes his backpack and asks if he remembers someone's number so that he can call them and inform them about the current situation. He called his older sister, Sasaki Fuko, and she picks him up. At home, his older sister Keed seriously invites him to join the student council, to which he does not know what to answer. After some time, the guy again meets the older sister of that boy, which lifted his spirits. They exchange pleasantries for a long time, which makes them embarrassed. After all this, the girl awkwardly says goodbye to him, gives him something in gratitude for her brother and asks if he can come again. He agrees, and the girl leaves. As it turns out, Sasaki gave Sajo a children's handkerchief. Sajo and Sasaki went on a special trip to the sea. Suddenly the girl notices that the guy is carrying her gift with him and using it, which makes her very happy. She says that she selected it specifically for him, which makes him a little shocked. Some time ago, Sasaki began to often visit Sajo at work, which made him feel awkward. They began to spend quite a lot of time together. The girl advises him of a small shop where they teach him how to make cute bracelets. Sajo is glad that the girl told him this because Aika's birthday is coming up and he really wants to do something for her. This is where their special walk began. Aika and Kei are also going to take a walk and go swimming in the sea, and with them is Aika's little sister, Eri. On the way to the store they need, Sajo and Sasaki have a nice conversation. Arriving at the store, the guy starts to get a little nervous, but the girl calms him down. They meet the owner of the store and begin to look at the bracelets and stones for them, which they can choose themselves. The guy spends a long time choosing stones and shells to work with, but cannot decide what exactly to do. He reflects on the fact that although he has moved away from Aika, he has not stopped loving her. At this time, the girls and their sister are playing on the beach. The guy finally chose everything he needed and started making a gift. During the whole process, it turns out that Sasaki is not a student at all, as he thought, but a high school student. This fact makes the guy feel awkward. The characters talk openly about love for some time. Later, the three girls also come into the store, but the store is about to close, so they go somewhere else, namely, they go to eat at a restaurant on the beach. Sajo walks his new friend home, and along the way she apologizes for the fact that because of her he never finished the gift. On the way, they get on the bus, talk frankly for some time, and the girl falls asleep on the hero's shoulder. Taking out his phone, Sajo noticed that Aika and Kei had added him to the group chat with them. The guy continues to work at the bookstore, but the holidays are soon over, so he asks the store owner about a replacement. But then Sajo's classmate, Mina Ikenos, comes into the store about a job advertisement here. The owner says she is his regular customer. He turns out to be very glad that she will work for him. Ikenos is a very shy girl, and Sajo is a little nervous because he's not used to working with someone else here, but he happily gets to work the next day. The owner of the store leaves the guy in charge and asks him to explain everything to the new girl about the job, but they are not able to communicate very easily, as he explained. After the first client, Ikenos became very nervous and started crying. Sajo sends her to the shop owner's wife to calm down. He thinks a lot about how difficult it is for a girl to work with people, and shares these thoughts with the owner of the store. He awkwardly agrees that this job is not very suitable for her. Sajo intends to talk to Ikenos about this, but doesn't expect much from it. While they are talking about this, the girl suddenly says that she does not intend to give up and wants to try to deal with clients, and asks not to kick her out. This scared the guy a little, and he says that he is definitely not going to kick her out. After this, the store owner sends the two of them home, even while the store is still full of work. Already at home, the guy notices that in the group chat the girls are writing messages about Sajo ignoring them, and there is also a video call going on. There Aika and Kei talk about all sorts of nonsense. The guy decides to go into a video chat where he asks the girls for advice about Ikenos and tells the whole situation that has developed. Aika gives him some advice, which makes his situation a little easier. He thanks her and leaves the video call in a hurry, just as Kei had done earlier. The next day, Sajo apologizes to Ikenos for what he said to her yesterday. The guy notices that her communication skills have improved a little, which he is undoubtedly happy about. Everything went so smoothly with the first client that Sajo is in incredible shock. He praises the girl for her progress in communicating with clients, and encourages her to continue doing so. The store owner sends them on a break where Ikenos shares his motivation for working here. As it turns out, she wants to distance herself from her older brother, who is on the disciplinary committee. During the story, she begins to share in detail her family problems between her and her brother, which greatly confuses Sajo. He listens carefully to the girl and becomes even more shocked with every second of the story. Ikenos says she found it difficult to communicate with her brother after she discovered that he had a girlfriend. Each time, the guy is more and more noticeable about her progress in working in the store in general, but except for working with clients. Sasaki arrives at the store where she meets Ikenos. Sajo thinks that she is getting along with people, albeit a little better. The guy says that Ikenos also loves to read, which makes new acquaintances very close. There were still no customers, so the guy decided to give the new store employee a check. He pretended to be a disgruntled customer, and after she dealt with him, Sasaki pretended to be a similar customer as well. She also handles it well, and after that Sasaki leaves. Sajo's working hour is already coming to an end, and there are still no clients. The guy thinks for a long time about why Ikenos told him all her problems, and she comes to the conclusion that she simply had no one to share it with. She is a loner at school, and she cannot talk about this with her brother because the girl's experiences are connected with him. The guy is so worried about this that he even confused sugar with salt while making coffee for his sister. Ikenos is doing better and better, which the girl herself is happy about. Sajo even praises and encourages her. He is sure that when the school year begins, she will cope with everything just fine. Sometime later, Sajo and Ikenos meet the girl's older brother, Yu Ikenos, about whom she managed to tell her new friend so much. He wants to talk to his sister, but she hides behind Sajo, which leaves him a little shocked. The guy suggests they all talk somewhere else, to which everyone agrees. The brother began to apologize to his sister for spending little time with her and offered to make up for lost time. But she, in turn, begins to refuse, justifying herself by saying that she does not want to create inconvenience for his new girlfriend. and then his girlfriend, Yuri Hanayaka, appears. She begins to explain that she did not want to take away time from her brother that he could have spent with his sister, and that she is very sorry for the fact that she could think that way. Ikenos refuses, but then Sajo intervenes in the conversation and asks to listen to the girl's words. He says that she has already made this decision, so there is no need to try so persistently to bring her back to him, and they agree with his words. After all this, Ikenos thanks him for all those words and asks if she really did the right thing. He, in turn, said that it was up to her to decide what the decision was to start working here. Sajo's words of support were so touching that they inadvertently made the girl cry. Sometime later, Aika and Sasaki Takaki enter the school office because they are preparing for a school event. The guy still continues to work in the bookstore, but on especially hot days it's hard for him. Sasaki runs to the store, friends say hello, and Ikenos looks out from the store to say hello to his friend too. In the store, the girls chat nicely about books. Sajo watches them for a bit and even finds it funny. At home in the evening he talks with his sister about everyday topics for them. And then Keed invites him to help with organizing an open day at the school, which the guy doesn't really want. But after a short deliberation, he decides not to argue with his sister and help them once. But Keed asks him for help not only for himself, but also for Rin. She says that she is very worried about her relationship with him. The guy is embarrassed, and his sister lets him call Rin from her phone. He asks the girl about his help at the open day, but for some reason she refused. Sajo insistently says that he wants to help not just someone, but her, which confuses the girl. She eventually agrees and they meet at school the next day. After a short dialogue they get to work. Near the classroom for training tour guides for students who wanted to enroll in this school, Sajo notices Aika and Sasaki Takaki. He had almost forgotten that they had been chosen to help the school before the holidays. A little embarrassed by this, the guy walks away, but Rin catches up with him. They come to the student council office where everyone has already gathered. There, Ikenos thanks Sajo for helping his sister talk. Around this time, Aika's thoughts plunge into her past, where she was lonely and unhappy, and that's when she met Sajo. He fell awkwardly in the middle of the school cafeteria, dropping all his food on the floor. Everyone laughed and teased him, and at that moment she felt the similarity between them. Because of this, she came over to help him. The day after that they met, and he confessed his feelings to her for the first time. She rejected him for the first time then, but the guy said that he wanted to know the reason for this refusal, and from that very day their story began. The first impositions, pestering and bothering Aika, constant attempts to talk, etc., and no matter how rudely she always answered him, he always continued to do so. Suddenly emerging from her thoughts, the girl begins to run around the school as if looking for someone, and, not finding it, she was going to go home. But Sasaki Takaki notices her thoughtfulness and asks if she is thinking about Sajo. The girl was confused by this phrase, but the guy hastily leaves her alone, and Aika has to leave school on her own, thinking about Sajo. She catches herself thinking that she still misses him, but tries to deny it. But suddenly she notices a guy in the distance and runs towards him. Aika once again searches for Sajo throughout the school while memories of him flash through her mind. For a long time she cannot find the guy, but she finally finds him and runs into him while running. The guy noticed that Aika began to behave a little differently. Sajo asks where she was in such a hurry that she crashed into him, and the girl began to sheepishly explain that she was looking for him. Sajo was very surprised by this fact. She tells him that they haven't seen each other for a long time and she misses him. They chat a little about Sajo's everyday life during the summer holidays. Classmates also talk about the girl's trips to the sea with Kei. The guy admits that she sent him a photo from there with her and Aika. She gets embarrassed and asks the guy to delete it. While trying to get his phone to do this, she accidentally trips and falls on him. For a second, their confused glances meet, but then Kei interrupts them with his appearance. After some time, Sajo came with drinks for the girls who were gossiping on the bench. Together they talk about club activities. During the dialogue, the guy almost said about special walks with Sasaki, but at the last second he said about work, which confused the girls a little. But Aika saves Sajo from this awkward situation by inviting him to sit on the bench with them. She asks the guy about the reasons for his being at school today. He talks about Keed and Rin's request, but says that he will not help at the open day itself, but is glad that their class will be represented there by Aika and Sasaki. They all talk on the bench for some more time, and Aika invites them to meet again like this if they come to school during the holidays, and everyone agrees. At the end of the next day, Sajo and Ikenos close up the store and the girl reminds Sajo that he has the day off tomorrow due to schoolwork. The guy is worried whether she will be able to handle the store herself in his absence, but she assures him that everything will be fine. The next day, Sajo watches the student council president give a speech to the students who are planning to enroll here. After this, Takaki, Sasaki, and Aika are going to show the school to 4 students from another school, and one of them turns out to be Sasaki Fuko. A group of tour guides explain to the girls all the nuances and details about the school. But suddenly Sasaki notices that bullies from another school are harassing Aizawa Rina, and Aika comes to her defense. She scolds them severely and says that she doesn't want them to come here. Soon after this, the excursion for girls wishing to enroll ends. But suddenly Sasaki Fuko notices his good friend, Sajo, in the distance and runs towards him. Sasaki and Aika are shocked that she even knows him and run after her, and the other girls ran after them. The guy is shocked that so many people are running towards him and is very nervous about it. According to her friend, he changed Sasaki a lot, which shocked not only Sajo, but also the two newly minted tour guides. Sasaki Fuko praises the guy very much and mentions his walks with her, which alerted Aika, who was watching. He asks her to stop, and she suddenly becomes embarrassed and takes her friends with her. The girls quickly thank the guys for the excursion and leave. Takaki Sasaki also says goodbye and leaves, leaving Sajo and Aika alone. The girl, angry because of the story of the guy's friend, takes him to the same bench where they talked with Kei last time. Aika retells all of Sasaki Fuko's words to her friend, and she begins to make fun of Sajo. He doesn't intend to tell anything, but Aika reminds him about her photo on his phone, and he reluctantly tells everything. But even after this, the girl asks for his phone number to delete her, and suddenly she gives the guy an ultimatum. She will not force him to delete this photo if he goes somewhere with them. Both are embarrassed by this proposal that the guy even asks if he heard her words correctly. In the group chat, after some time, everyone agreed to meet at Aika's house. It's starting to rain outside, and Sajo and Ikanos are doing business at the store. But then Aika comes running to them, and the guy tells her to go inside. There, Ikanos gives the girl a towel to dry herself off. Her progress in communicating with people is noticeable. Aika thanks her, after which she leaves. Sajo soon arrives to ask what the girl is doing here. She replies that it was just interesting to see this store, and asks if he will still work here. The guy says that he initially planned to work here only until the end of the holidays. At this moment, Sasaki Fuko visits the store, and Aika hastily begins to towel off her as well. Then Sasaki notices Ikanos and calls her over. Sajo says he'll look after the store, and he and Aika are left alone. The girl says that she didn't expect to meet Sasaki here, and the guy tells her that he and Ikanos are good friends. Aika thinks that it would be better for him to go to them, but he surprisingly says that he would not want to leave the girl alone. She is very embarrassed by this and accidentally falls, but Sajo manages to catch her. They both freeze in embarrassment and look at each other, and this whole picture is accidentally observed by Ikanos and Sasaki. The guy and the girl notice them. It becomes awkward, and they say that they didn't peek on purpose. They left Sajo and Aika alone again. Both are very embarrassed and finally get up from the floor. After a short awkward dialogue, the guy asks if her offer to come visit is still valid. She says she wants him to come to her. After some time, Sajo and Kei stand at the threshold of Aika's house. The girl rings the bell and Aika opens the door for them. The guy noticed that the girl was incredibly beautiful. They are also greeted by their younger sister, Eri. She meets Sajo and everyone goes into the house. Eri plays with him for a long time, but the guy admits that he was not ready to be so active. They have a nice and fun time together, and the girls are happy to watch this. Soon after, Sajo became exhausted and they all sat down to rest. They have a small dialogue about things that are common to them. After Sajo has rested for a while, little Eri starts playing with him again. Already in the evening the guy was very tired, but when he heard that Aika's mother would come soon, he became full of enthusiasm. It turns out that she knows him because Aika herself told her a lot about him. Soon Aika began escorting the guests home. Aika and Eri's mom invites him to come see them again, and they say goodbye. On the way, the three begin to discuss baby Eri, but Sajo asks Aika what exactly she told her mother about him, and at this point Kei leaves them alone, and the girl accompanies Sajo straight to his house. Along the way, she shares with the guy her experiences and thoughts about school. Sajo apologizes many times for his past behavior. The girl says that she did not feel very happy, and it was as if she was missing someone special in her life. The guy thinks that he interfered not only with her, but also with this person. But the girl declares that this is not so, and that this special person is Sajo Wataru. Both the guy and the girl are very embarrassed, but suddenly there is an explosion of fireworks. Out of fright, the girl almost falls on Sajo, but he catches her in his arms. After such a romantic moment, the girl asks to lead the guy in the same way as before, because without him she becomes sad. After this awkward moment, they continued walking, only this time very embarrassed. They held hands shyly. Sajo didn't want to leave his beloved alone, so he took her back home. The girl thanks him and they say goodbye. On the first school day after the holidays, the guy gets ready for school and Keith asks his brother to continue helping the student council. Sajo goes to school and meets his lover at the door. They greeted each other and Aika wanted to straighten the guy's tie. After that, they happily head to school And that's where the story ends.